Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Hey everybody, it's another episode of EMERJ TV. Talking to a good friend of mine, Jerome Espy, founder of the Espy Awards. No, just playing.
Yeah.
Jerome and I, we've been knowing each other what?
Long time.
I met Jerome at a place that he got hired at. I used to volunteer at. The guy came in with this voice, and you hear when he talks. I was like, well, this guy should be doing voiceovers, whatever. But production guy like the rest of us. Get right to it, Jerome. Just, how'd you get started?
Well, I got started in production very, very young, really at like 11 and a half or 12 years old.
Really?
Yeah, so it was quite an experience because my voice started changing at around that time. So I was, you and I are old enough to remember the Brady Bunch, that episode when it's time to change, that whole thing. And so my voice started changing. And so people were like, yeah, you should do some of this kind of thing. And so I was a member of a church at the time, and the pastor had a radio broadcast. And no one else in the church wanted to do it. And so I was like, I can do that, So I began that. Actually, before that, I was a member of an Explorer post. You got Scouts, you got Boy Scouts, Explorers, the next level up.
Yeah.
And so I was in that Explorer post, and that Explorer post was based at an AM radio station. And so I got exposed to that. And then I went to the pastor and started helping him do that production. I just got the bug. I fell in love with it. Got my license,
right.
My FCC license, and did all that. That's back when you had to know Morse code. It's show you how old I am. I had to know Morse code to get my license, man. And so it was kind of a trip, to kind of go through all that. So that was the beginning. And I don't want to just keep rambling on if you have any questions about any of that. But just continued on and just fell in love with radio. I was just like, man, this is really cool. And that too is back when we had to do tape.
Splicing tapes.
Had to splice tape, so learned about the razor blade and setting
splicing block and all that stuff.
And all that stuff. Nothing fancy like push two buttons and go like it is now, right? But that's how I really got my start, was in radio. And then that kind of transitioned to everything else that kind of went on before that. Yeah.
So you said 15, 16 years old?
No,
12.
That's 12. I was 12.
And your voice is deep as it is now at 12 years old?
It went between. That's why I said I made that reference for the Brady Bunch. It was like, it almost sounded like I was yodeling every time I talked.
Yeah.
But then it finally settled in, and so I began, then my voice changed and did that. Then that kind of led from me being the quote producer of the pastor's broadcast to where I decided to go and start doing radio.
Right.
And so that was kind of...
So you started in radio and then went to TV.
Yeah, I sure did.
So when you got to TV, what was some of the oddest or craziest kind of, production you had to do?
Oh man, I've had to do all kinds of crazy stuff, man. I was a part of, I used to work at Channel 4. Well, I don't know if I can say his name, but I used to work, I used to work at Channel 4, and I worked at a TV station in New Orleans as well for NBC. But, working at Channel 4 and just really kind of getting my feet wetter, because I had always been kind of doing kind of freelance production kinds of things. Once I got the radio bug, I was like, well, I want to do some more of this. And you have delusions of grandeur, like I'm going to be working on the big time networks and that kind of thing. And so it was kind of leading up, kind of that path. But it was just really, I just got bit by the bug, and so I just kept on doing it. But then on the TV side, just so many crazy things, and all kinds of production types of things. A lot of the people that I worked with at Channel 4 went on to be national correspondents, and did all kinds of phenomenal things. And I'm fortunate enough to still know a lot of them. One of the guys I used to work with, who was a helicopter reporter here in Detroit, is now, as of next week, going to be on CNBC.
Really?
So it was just, and he literally came out of college and went straight into the helicopter. And so, and it's at that time, it's like there was nobody in there. No one else was really doing that in this market. but he took that on.
Yeah.
And then so now he's ridden that for now. Golly, that's 28 years ago that he did that. And so now he's getting called up to the big leagues for real, and doing that. But but TV production is just really something. It's a unique beast, and the technology has changed so much.
Oh man, drastically.
And so some of the things. Well, you and I were both. We used to work auto show and different things like that.
Yeah.
And so doing all of the editing that took a room to do, now is on a
laptop.
On a laptop. It's on a laptop. But it was a whole huge deal. If we remember, what happened, and just the formats of like even working at Channel 4, like Channel 7, for example, we used M3,
right?
And then we used different format. Each station had their own format that they used.
Yeah.
And so it was just, and then I was just at the NBC affiliate this past week, and just being in there, and I had one of my mentees with me who works for me too. But so I had to try to explain to them, like, there used to be people behind all of these cameras. It wasn't just one person with a joystick moving the cameras around. There used to be 3 people over here. There used to be 6 people in the sound room, managing the sound and
the tape op.
All of that.
Tape op, a shader, and all
that. All of that.
Yeah.
And so now all that's down to like there's only 3 people in the news production room, and really everything that was set up, like when I was doing it, now it's all programmed in. The whole show, the camera moves, everything, and that's not a surprise to anyone that we watching this, but everything is loaded into the computer, and they hit one button, and it goes, okay, here, commercials here, camera over here, blah, 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 blah. It just moves. And it was a big deal at the time when that switch was made from people to computers, that the Nabet and IATSE were just like, hey, we see where y'all go, we see what you're doing, and so because like, you're gonna get rid of all of our jobs. We're like, no, we're not gonna do that.
And that's what they did.
And that's exactly what happened. But yeah, it was just a great experience of being out in the field. I got to go out into the field too. Even in New Orleans, working at WDSU, which was a NBC affiliate. Just an amazing experience. Imagine just New Orleans itself, right? The flavor of New Orleans and all of that. But then working in news in that market, and I've got many stories to talk about all kinds of stuff I saw.
So you started helping out the church, that kind of thing, and went directly into professional production.
Yeah. Directly in professional production and doing, my wife will remember that there was a period of time working in TV was my dream. That was like, whatever I have to do, I want to do this I want to do this thing.
Right.
And so it was so strange that when I came and worked at Channel 4, and one of my best friends now, her name was Daphne. And at the time, though, she was my boss. And so I was like, I took the job and didn't even ask how much I was going to get paid. Didn't even care. Yeah. I'm like, good. I'm gonna work in TV.
Right.
Great. But the thing was I was making $4.25 an hour, $4.25, and I was like, okay, because God will sometimes say, okay, I'm gonna give you this dream, but you're gonna have to do something to get there.
Yeah.
So that was just interesting of starting there, and then kind of working your way up, getting exposed to all kinds of things. So I was the hardest working, non well paid person in the newsroom, because I did my job, but then I'd also stay after. Okay, I want to go, let me go sit in the studio. Let me go sit in the production room. Let me see how this sausage is made.
Right.
And then pitching in wherever I could, gathering all the skills. And I still tell people now that I'm fortunate enough to talk to, put as many tools as you can in your tool belt, because at some point you'll get to use them.
Right.
And so that's, working at Channel 4, you kind of, you're defined here, but I sought to do more. What else can I do?
Yeah.
How else can I expand my craft and learn everything I can? And I learned about editing, of course, and I did cable access. I mean, really, I did everything I possibly could. I had this good friend of mine in Kalamazoo, and I worked on his program. The program was called Try God's Love. And so we would go out and do skits in the community. We'd come back and learn how to edit and do all kinds of things. I did concerts. Filming concerts, doing interviews, and doing all that stuff. This is long before social media.
Yeah.
But just doing everything I could to absorb as many tools as I could. So my goal was, I'm going to do as much as I can. And then if someone comes up and needs something, and they say, hey, do you edit? I'm like, yeah, I do. Do you do sound? Yep.
Yeah.
You know, for a freelancer, whatever you ask me,
All right.
yes, I can do that. Yes,
That's kind of my story too. You know,
right.
Now you started at 12.
Yeah.
14.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't break into 25 years old.
Wow. See.
But I would go wherever they would let me shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I do for free. Matter of fact, I thought, got to pay my dues, have to work for free.
Right.
And I was going to volunteer at this one organization. I said, well, what does it take to become a freelancer? They said, you have to volunteer for a year, then you become an intern, and then
free too.
And then they'll bring you on as freelancers as positions come open. And I thought, okay, I'll do the year. And I had some experience already. I had been, but I'd only been doing it like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew enough. I knew how to watch my audio levels. So we were there 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
My business partner and I, they came and said, well, we want you guys to keep coming. They made us freelancers at 3 months.
See?
And just took off from there. I didn't tell anybody what I did because I thought, well, you're going to find out how much fun I have and want to do this too. So they would say, what do you do? I just work. That's what I tell them.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it paid either. I was making a whopping $5.25 an hour.
$1 more than me.
Fine.
Yeah. You were $1 more than me.
And so, it's like you said.
Right.
You learn how to do a lot of things. You ride your tool belt. Whatever they need you to do, you do it.
Right. Well, see, and the other thing that stripped out about my situation, when I was making $4.25 at Channel 4, here's what my Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would be. Friday evening, I'd go to Channel 4. Saturday morning, I'd go to WXYT. I would
doing that?
I would do 3 jobs a day on Saturday and Sunday. I would go from radio to TV, and then I worked night side.
Man.
So I was doing, golly, I started in the radio job. We were early show. It was like 8 o'clock or something crazy like that. So I worked from 8 to 11 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. 8 a.m., not 8 p.m., 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. But I was like, again, under that whole mindset that we were just talking about, whatever it takes, I'm going to do. And that's, I'm going to get everything I can. And then I even, at one point, I even added in, well, I'll do some freelance. I'll do some, we need to record this interview. Okay. All right, let's do it. Let's do it, right? So just everything, and I believe in God's divine order. So I think everything worked out. On paper, if you see it, it looks like, oh, you did it. And then like, yeah, like, okay, yeah, sure, it makes sense now on paper. But at the time, it was just like, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to get to where I want to get to, because it was, the other thing is, the mindset was, this is something I love to do, I want to do, and so I'm going to get all of the exposure I can, all of the experiences I can. I'm going to volunteer for whatever I need to do. If I get paid, my mindset, a lot like yours, is, well, whatever I need to do, I'll do this for now,
Right.
And then say, okay, this will eventually turn into something.
Well, I think that drive, the one thing that you and I have in common is that drive. It's like whatever it takes. That was my thing, whatever it takes.
Right.
And so what it does is it equips you, because you do so many different things. Even if it's not what you end up later on, you can speak to a lot of different departments. You can talk to an audio guy and say, okay, well, this is what I need to do. Or you can talk to an editor or a camera guy or a lighting guy and actually have an educated conversation, instead of them coming to you and ask, well, how do you want this lit? Or what do you want? And you're like, well, I don't know. What do you think?
Right.
And
Right.
it's like
which never works out. That never works.
Right.
It never works.
So, but now have you worked with any celebrities or any kind of
Well, a lot. I worked with a lot actually. Back in my New Orleans days and before, with freelance and production kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I've had the experience, and then I actually worked on a talk show in Grand Rapids, and we had Danny Glover, we had Marla Gibbs.
Oh yeah,
Marla Gibbs, and several other celebrities that came on and did that program. Even that was really an experience for me around production, but just understanding what looks like such a large crew, large audience on TV. It was like, I think we had 150 people in there.
Yeah.
Maybe, on a good day. But just the dynamics of learning the production side of TV is a magical thing, right? What you see on the TV is not necessarily what it took to get the thing done.
Right.
And so that was that piece of just that learning that piece as well. And so, the technology has changed so much that, there's some things I can do on my phone now,
I know.
Yeah, which, if I think about it too hard, it blows my mind,
Well, I remember when the first nonlinear editor came out, it was $100,000.
Right.
And now I was editing A/B roll, 3/4 inch tape.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see the editor. All it could do was cuts in real time. And then you had to render out all the dissolves. I was like, well, shoot, I could just hit preview and check it and edit. By the time this thing gets going good, rendering one dissolve, and now they have where, you can edit on the phone.
Right. Which I do. I use CapCut now.
Non-linear editor on the phone.
Yeah.
That's an app.
Yeah.
And the first nonlinear editor was $100,000.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I use CapCut now, and my same production person I was talking about that works for me now.
Yeah.
That's $10 a month.
Yeah.
It's $10, and I think that's the premium version, as a matter of fact.
With all the bells and whistles.
With all the bells and whistles for $10 a month.
Yeah.
So that's just like, but you talk about the celebrities and just getting the opportunity to be exposed and that kind of thing. Like, we could talk all day about all the stuff I saw in New Orleans.
I bet.
Just
like Mardi Gras and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Mardi Gras. And one quick story. I was out in the field with a reporter. I was doing field producing. And so we were down in the 9th Ward in New Orleans. And so we're looking for people to talk to. This is pre-Katrina. And so we were going down the 9th Ward, which would be hit the worst, and talking to people like, hey, what are you worried about? This kind of thing. Most people are like, oh, Army Corps of Engineers, they said it'll never flood, because when I went down there for the interview, and I got the job, obviously, but I remember going to the airport, the car's down here, but the water was up there.
Yeah.
I was like, isn't this going to be a problem someday? And they're like, oh, no, Army Corps of Engineers. And I was like, and of course, the rest of the story is
right.
But we were down in the 9th Ward, which is like the hoodish, not the degraded people in the 9th Ward. But so we were looking for people to talk to, and it was kind of desolate and that kind of thing. But we see a woman walking towards us, and she kept getting closer. We could see a long distance away. She kept walking towards us. We were like, man, those are some weird earrings that she has on. And so the closer we got, we saw they weren't earrings, they were keloids. And they were huge. They were this big on each of her ears, man. And so, and then
the types,
Oh yeah, but you just have to be so flexible, and just so non-bothered by what you see in production, And then, so even in the studio or in the field or whatever it is, you just got to be like, okay, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I know there's a guy, I don't even know where to start. But we have gone places, and like you say, you see who knows what. And for several reasons, you have to hold your facial expression. Right. You cannot show that you're surprised, especially in certain areas, because if you, or like we used to say, they can smell fear on you,
right? And
show the wrong expression or look the wrong way, and you could leave. You could show up with like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of equipment,
right?
And then leave running
with nothing, right? Exactly. You leave running for your life, right?
But this
it's all in how you carry yourself too.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're in the field, it's all in how you carry yourself. And then, I mean, I'm a bigger dude, you're a bigger dude, but but I just wasn't. I just look at people like, no, you ain't getting this. No.
I had an opportunity to work with somebody, Paula Tutman.
Yeah, all school people.
I got hired by another organization to shoot. She was conducting an interview. No, they were interviewing her, and. You see them on the news, you kind of get your not preconceptions, not that I had any, but, they're really nice people. Every day, talk to them. It's just, they're on TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you feel like you know them. You go to have a conversation. Well, you know, you said such and such. And you're like, well, no. And then they look at you like, well, who are you?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
But I tell you that my career, now I have been doing, so you've got, I forgot how old you are. I'm not going to ask you how old you are because that means I'd have to tell you how old I am.
Right.
But I've been doing this, it's 45 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just been a blast. I've done some cool things.
Yeah.
You know, you meet great people. You work hard at anything that's worth it. You know, have to put the hard work into it, but wouldn't change a thing.
Right.
I've done church. I've done medical. I've done political. I've done industrial. I've done municipal, concerts, plays, you know, and wouldn't change a thing.
You know, the key word for me, Reggie, is flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Is being willing and malleable. You know, okay, you can, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do, but flexibility. And so this goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of having as many tools in your toolkit as you need. Because then when the challenge comes up, you say, well, I can even if I don't know it 100%, I may know 75% and I'll figure out the other 25%.
Yeah.
But just being able to shift and move.
Yeah.
And so over these years, I mean, you've seen technology change. I've seen technology change, and just how things are so different, you know.
Well, the other thing too, to piggyback on that, is you learn how to fix things, and you come across as a genius, because I was preparing. We were preparing to shoot at this one organization, and one of the cameras, they said, well, camera 4 doesn't work. I said, what's wrong with it? And they said, well, when you zoom out, you're getting like this little circle. You're getting like a circular edge.
Yeah.
And I said, really? And I said, okay, I'll be right back. Went down, clicked the filter.
Filter, right. The filter is like just that, a little bit off, right?
And it's like, well, you know, I told him, I said, I would like to take credit, but you know, the reason why you have to have an open mind to learn is you run into it, and then later on you see it again. It's like, oh, I know what to do. Click.
Right.
You know,
Right.
And people say, well, how do you know all this stuff? Like, you know, I really would like to take credit.
Right.
I said, some of it, somebody had to show me what to do because I was having a problem or whatever. But, you know, it's all what you learn. And like you said, you expand your toolbox.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But now, you know, I'm doing more. I do more single camera, multi-camera directing. I started out doing audio for live. Matter of fact, my very first job was live audio for a live TV program. My experience was I knew how to watch my VU meters, so I knew how not to distort, and that's what got me the job.
Right.
And then I started learning camera, learning how to edit. Later on, single camera directing, multi-camera directing, and you work with people.
Right.
You know, the thing about it, what's cool about this industry, what's cool about even you and I working together is you and I already had our careers. We were solid in our careers. And when we started working together, you just become, it's a crew. You know, it's just, you know, television, the whole television production community is a crew.
Yeah.
It's just that which group of people are you just making up the crew that you're working in.
Right. Right.
But
yeah, and just the experiences that come to it.
Yeah.
Because I ran into a former field videographer. That's a really good person.
Yeah.
And she had so many stories talking about what she's been through. And I don't know if you remember when the Belle Isle riots happened during the fireworks and all that stuff. She was on the bridge. She was on the bridge when that happened.
Really?
She was when the first Stanley Cup. Her van was the one that got turned over.
Really?
She was in her van, and her was the one that got tipped over. And so you talk about all of that. Then the cool part is we did a corporate thing. You know, the organization I work for now, we hire different people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was the best part of that event for me was sitting around with the crew, and it's almost like people talking about, showing their scars. Because you start talking about like, oh, I remember I was in, that ain't nothing. Let me tell you about this, and you start sharing stories. And so the key thing is that you learn how flexible people are, how open they are.
Yeah.
And as long as you're willing to show up and give your all, people in the industry they'll go to the nth degree to help you out. That little 25% that I'm talking about that you need to learn, they'll help you learn it,
As a matter of fact, I learned very fast that the only stupid question was the one you didn't ask.
The non-asked one.
Because production is so serious and it takes so much. You can't not ask a question because you're afraid of looking bad.
Right.
Because it can mean the difference of the production either going easy or hard or failing altogether if you don't ask, well, what is this? Or like I mentioned on another conversation, I heard about a DB pad for audio, and I was like, a pad? And I'm going, a pillow? Because and I had been doing production maybe like 6 months. Never heard of a pad. And I thought, well, man, I won't say anything. But I let the guys talk. But see, it was just two engineers talking, so I didn't have to ask them something. So because they were already handling it. But then when I found out a pad was just little XLR with
right.
this actually padding for layman, padding the signal.
Right.
But you call it a DB pad.
Right. Right.
But I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing. In my career, it has been 45 years. It doesn't even seem like it. Because I was like, well, where did 30 years go? When I hit 40, I was like, well, wait a minute, they retire at 30, and I'm still going now. Your role changes, and I don't work physically as hard as I used to because you pay your dues. Yeah. So. Right. But Jerome, I appreciate you coming and talking. We're going to talk to Jerome some more in our next episode. But what I'd like to say to you is, if you're interested in coming on, have a conversation with us, you can reach out. I'm on Facebook, EMERJ TV. Type it in, it'll take you right to my page. If you have somebody who's interested in watching it and they don't have Facebook, there are people who are kind of Facebook snobs, which rightfully so. But they can go to any browser, type in EMERJ.TV. Take them right to the page. If you follow it, and I'd like for you to follow it, you get links when I do update videos, and when we air a new episode, you'll get an update. But Jerome, I'd like to talk to you some more, but we'll do it in the next episode because I want to hear some more about your experiences because, see, you've done a lot of stuff. You've done more than I have, and I know mine has been interesting. So yours must, and you're starting at 12 years old?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.